Morning, folks. We'll call to order our finance meeting. Is there any public comment? Hearing none. Next item is the approval of the Board of Commissioners meeting minutes of August 26th. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second? Oh, yes, I'll second it. Any questions or comments on the minutes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Today we have two topics for discussion. The first one is regarding Textbehind. We have Travis Schenk from our prison system, Mr. Riley. If you gentlemen want to take over from now, start your presentation. If you could also introduce yourselves for everybody again, so that we
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for giving us the opportunity to come be here today to present our solution to the contraband and the some of the inefficiencies that we have in the regarding the inmate mail that we receive. So, my name is Zia Rana. I'm the CEO of Textbehind. I invented this technology. Formerly, I'm the intellectual diplomat with Pentagon, working some high classified security projects and one of the youngest advisors to the UN at 23. So I've been developing technologies for global corporations for the past nearly 20 years. So I was in World Ranking, Forbes magazine, and some other awards and everything else. So for the past about 6-7 years, I've been wanting to design additional technologies to basically for the public good, to save lives, to protect people, because that's what we learned in Pentagon and with UN. So I came up with this method after studying the mass incarceration and some of the issues that we have in the mail rooms. So I also am a law graduate from 2002, so that all education goes into understanding the rules and regulations and designing a technology solution that is compatible with the law itself, and then also provides the social value on the outside for the family and friends and the children, and on the inside provide security for government officers who are basically putting their life on the line to protect and to take care of the issue. So this folder contains certain documents that I would like to go over in a sequence. So if you have any questions, hold on to them. Chances are that I will have Armory answer those questions in the presentation, but at the end we can have a few minutes for Q&A. Also be respectful of your time. I will go over a bit faster. And how much time do I have? So,
Sandy, we need to be in Campbell by 11 a.m. So we have to be out of here by 10:30. I don't think we're going to be here that long. That's our absolute maximum.
sure, I will need about 30-35.
That's fine.
Is that okay?
Sure. Chris, you want to just introduce?
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. Chris Riley, I'm one of the York County Commissioners, just a humble commissioner. I don't have his background or a list of accomplishments, but I'm also a consultant with Textbehind. And our prison, the York County prisons had Textbehind in place for approximately 10 months. We have acquired their services in the aftermath of this crisis that occurred at the state level with the dosing of COs last August. We had interviewed Textbehind 6 months prior to that, and we had the warden at the time, and it just wasn't a priority for him as he was transitioning to his new job. But we had them in place within a month after that incident occurred. I can tell you, I've been a commissioner for 20 years, a prison board member for 20 years, chairman of the prison board for 1 term. This has transformed our inmate mail management operation. No contraband comes through the mailroom any longer. We reduced staff from 10 to 2. And, we have a 2,200 bed prison with a pretty big ICE contract. 10 of those COs have been deployed to other areas of the prison to do what they were originally hired to do. And one ancillary benefit that we never considered, grievances have dropped from over 100 a month related to mail to single digits. So it's I can't say enough good things about it. It's been, I think our warden would testify to that fact too, that it really has transformed our operation. Thank you.
Nice, Chris. Zia, go ahead.
All right. So I'll go over this first presentation document, which will keep us on track with what we need, and we'll see look at the props later on. So on the first page, as you can see, our website mobile application screenshots, which is very popular with the family and friends. About 500,000 customers have used this technology so far in the past 4 years. And for the past roughly about a year, we are now presenting myself as the dedicated mail management system for the crushing facility so that we can block all the channels where the contraband comes in. We also recently filed out patents for the technology. Okay, on the next page, there are 4 images, and these 4 images basically define 4 major milestones, how the mail is processed today, and what are the issues that are basically come out of that particular process. So in the first image, you can see there are ladies in the room without any protective gear. As you know, the evolution of drugs that come through the mail, it used to be heroin, then Suboxone strips behind these steps, then the glue-based drug that used as an adhesive for the envelope, and then it became spice, and then fentanyl, and then carfentanil. And the cartels on the outside, they don't have any shortage of compounders and scientists and money to develop additional minuscule particles of drugs. So today, if you look at carfentanil and anthrax, there's very little difference between the potency and the danger that it can create for the correctional officer, especially if it's 2.5 grains of salt is basically a lethal dose for the correctional officer if you are exposed to that. So it's becoming harder and harder to review and open the mail physically yourself without any protective gear, and then you're risking your life at that moment. So basically, if any envelope has drugs in this particular scenario, everybody in the room is at risk. But just 2 particles of basically grains for that. So Textbehind technology basically eliminates that risk altogether for the correctional facility by 100%. A drug to the mail will never come to your facility without service. Secondly, after the mail has been sorted, the correctional officer, they go through a second phase of going through and understanding that if there could be a strip behind the letter, or it could be drug-soaked paper. So they normally have those scanners that they run papers through, that if there's any substance on it. So it's a labor-intensive process, and again, there's additional risk here. Thirdly, all the letters that come in, unsorted letters from USPS, inmate housing information is not printed on them. So the correctional officers usually have to go on the computer and look up where the inmate is housed inside the facility, and then they handwrite it, which means that also takes time before the mail is distributed to the inmate. Right? Lastly, at the end of the day, the mail is distributed as a physical copy to the inmate. The problem is that there are 2 types of contraband. There's a hard contraband, which is the drugs and chemicals, and there's a soft contraband, which is the information that you must track, that what are they actually saying. There could be credit card numbers, codes, hits, threats, all those things can be in there. So when you hand over the physical letter to the inmate, the intelligence is lost forever. If you did not detect the drug on the paper, that drug has been transmitted. Commerce has been created, influence has been created, so it defeats the purpose of security. So all these issues are happening in the system, back to back. So let's say if your facility is receiving, say, 100 or 200, maybe 150 pieces of letters a day, every single day, day in, day out, all this data and risks are being transmitted into the prison without you knowing everything about it. Right? So we changed the paradigm altogether in this entire scenario. So now we'll look at how we mitigate those issues. So we can apply one of the 3 service models for the facility. So this is a service model 1, print and go. So as you can see on the left-hand side, the customers on the outside have a choice. If they want to use technology, they can use our website or mobile applications to create their letters. They can add photographs, text messages, they can design greeting cards online, and even children can do fingerprinting online through a mobile application and website, so they can basically play around and create drawings. Or if they don't want to use website or any kind of technology, they can still handwrite their letters, but instead of sending to the prison, we'll become the mail reception facility. So we have a dedicated PO box, so they will send the letters to us. So we open the letters, process them, and then we go to step number 2. So we have specialized rooms inside our facility where employees are clothed in protective gear with specialized clothing, and it's negatively ventilated. We have high-speed scanners and advanced equipment to basically detect all of that and keep them safe. So all the physical mail is opened and scanned and turned into high quality physical reproduction, like we call them TDC, true digital copies. And then they get become available at the security portal that will have you access to. And then all this data, whether the information was created, the communication was created online or it was sent to us, it gets archived on one of our 13 security servers for up to 7 years. Right? So, and then for the correctional officers, investigative users at the facility, we give them access to our CAM portal. CAM stands for Comprehensive Access to Mail and Management Portal. This is a software that I designed after working for years with Pentagon on advanced security protocols to understand really how do I make it as simple as possible, as effective as possible for you to track what's happening in those communications, right? So this portal allows you to approve and reject mail. And one of the newest functions that I developed here is called the RTS automation, return to sender. So you receive, say, 50, 100, 150 letters a day. Let's say you have to reject 5 of those because of the inappropriate content, soft contraband or photographs or whatever. You have to print certain notices, handwrite the reasons, then put a step on the other to send it back. So that's the admin work that consumes resources and time. With our system, it's all integrated into the process. So as you review mail, you can reject text or photographs as you're seeing on the screen. As you reject, you can add your content why you're rejecting this, and it's the content and the reason gets printed in that context on the letter itself, which means that all the end users, the inmate, the senders, they get notified immediately as to why the content is being rejected, which means at your end, there is no effort, no cost. That's all automated. Then we have managed inmate housing database. Our system has the capability of connecting with your JMS or OMS system to get the inmate housing information dynamically and print on every single letter itself, which means that when you see the letter, when you download the letters to our system or you receive in package, they're all 100% distribution ready. No more checking the computer, no more shuffling through it, it's all pre-sorted. So we get the printing housing information gets printed on the letter dynamically. Secondly, you have inmate custody status management, which we have also now automated recently. Then we have monitored all connections. You'll be able to see who is talking to who, what are they saying. Everything is chronologically ordered in the system in particular sequence. So smart search and auto content discovery. We have 2 different systems for searching content. One is proactive searching. Let's say you are looking for somebody, a sender or a receiver, through their IDs, through their names, middle names, partial names, contents itself, keywords, you're looking for all of that. That's fine. You can search anybody in the system in under 3 seconds. Not only this, but back in 2012, when I was developing this platform here, I realized that, let's say if this technology catches up, it becomes popular. It will create a lot of communications transactions for the correctional officers to go through. So I'm basically then putting more work in their plate. How do I mitigate that? So I built this function is based on artificial intelligence. So you can teach the software itself what is that you look for day in and day out. You can define your keywords and phrases. So whenever there's a new communication that is created for your facility, it searches your list of keywords through those communications, and it separates them automatically. We call it content of interest. So you can define your own filters that, okay, if this message has this kind of keyword, put it on the side for me to review. It separates the good communication from content of interest that you should be looking into. Sometimes what can happen is customers can use the word Suboxone in their letters, but it may not be the wrong context. Suboxone is a drug to basically, it's a helpful drug, but people misuse it sometimes, right? So kill you could be used in a negative and positive way. So you can define those. It will say, okay, whatever does kill you will make you stronger, or I will kill your family. So 2 different things. So it separates those communications and tell you, okay, you got to look at them and understand the context and the human intelligence. So it helps you that way. Second is the download from archives. So every now and then we receive subpoenas from the prosecutors to gather every information on the inmate and what he or she has. So instead of now going through the files, you can download the entire historical communication for that particular inmate in just about a minute. So you have the access to all those archive data. It helps you build the case files. Then we have a confidential message board where your teams can communicate with our technical team to sort through any technical issues. Now, for the professional accountability and transparency, every correctional officer who is interacting with our system, their actions are being logged and recorded in their permanent history, which means that if any correctional officer is not performing his or her duties to the proper conduct, we will know what mistake they're making. They are printing something they're not supposed to print, and the messages or circumventing the technology. We know have a method of tracking their activities. So this will be available for the master user of your correctional facility, like the warden, somebody else who is in charge. So this person can track the activities of all the correctional officers in the process. Letter eligibility management system. If any of them in the room has ever seen inmate letters coming through, very often they're in gold markers, yellow markers, B2 pencils that are very hard to read what's on them. So this is a new patent technology where it runs through an algorithm where we enhance the contrast of writing against the paper behind. So every single line, dot, and word on the paper becomes legible. So it standardizes that. But we do not touch photographic elements such as photographs, greeting cards, children's drawings. We don't touch that. It's all on written content with pen, pencil, and yellow paper and stuff like that. Smart return center notification, so we discussed about that, and then super mail sorting system. This is a piece of technology where, let's say, your facility has a different layout than a neighboring correctional facility, right? You want your mail to be downloaded in a different way than your neighboring county. So how do I give you the ability to download your messages in the way you like? So you can define the layout of your facility into our system and download your message in the way you want to distribute it. So to make your distribution process even more efficient, and our system have the ability to adapt to your infrastructure. So you can, we call it super sorting function, so that's available. So in this particular model, we put a production class printer inside the facility where you have exclusive access to. So it does not require any special software either. Our CAM software is a highly secure website which sends simply a print command when you're printing any messages on the inside. So there's nothing proprietary per se. So you don't need any special computers or special hardware for that. Textbehind will provide the paper and the ink and the maintenance on those printers, so there is no cost to you for that. And we have a method of replenishing those supplies for you. Additional provisions that Textbehind provides at the time of signing the contract is we provide the software to multiple users, so there is no limit as to how many correction officers users you can have on this system. You can have one looking at the mail, somebody looking at the drug issues or connections, whatever. We'll provide the software training to your staff, and we'll provide the posters for the recreation rooms. So I'll go into the folder, and you'll have certain props before I go further here. So you will see these props here. It has big 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers on them. So we'll look at them first. So this first example here is the text message that was created using Textbehind, either website or mobile application. So at the top, if you see, there's a inmate's information, and inmate's housing information is printed right on the letter itself. Inmate first name, last name, inmate ID, and stuff. And on the right-hand side is the reply instructions for the inmate. And then we have a text message. But notice the font of the text message. It is designed in such a way that 2 feet away, you can read that message, right? On the back side, you have 4 high-quality photographs. So the reason behind this particular font and design is to have delivered the message to the inmate like this, in half-folded manner. So photographs are privacy fold. You cannot see the photographs. And 2 feet away, you cannot see the letter itself. So there are no envelopes that we use, no stamps that we use. So we have to maintain the privacy of the letter itself. So as you're walking through the prison, only you can see if you're seeing them face up. People from the side cannot see. So there's a privacy fold. Secondly, there's prop number 2. This is a sample greeting card that was also created using that technology. Exactly the same format. If you flip it vertically to the backside, there's a theme. There are hundreds of themes available for the customers to choose from, and then the 4 photographs on the back side. So that's how they can do the greeting cards. There's a third example, same format, but on the back side now there's a drawing done by a child. I did it, but hey. Children can do better, so I can be a child sometimes too. So this is the third thing. And then fourth one example is the screen and playing, we call it. It is the physical letter that we receive from the family and friends, and then it went to our system. So on the front, as you can see, there's exactly the same format. Inmates housing information is also printed there. Next page contains the envelope image, and now we're also putting the actual time of processing, which means for the professional accountability for Textbehind for the correctional officers, you will now know exactly when did you receive the mail, when we processed it, and when we sent it to the prison. So we do complete everything within 24 hours. And then there are text pages, some hand-drawn images, and at the back there are some photographs, which means that we don't touch photographs, but all other contents went through our legibility management system. That's how you see everything is standardized. See, you can read all of that. So that's the benefit of legibility management system. So when these letters come to your facility, say 1, 2, 3, 4, there is no additional learning curve for the correctional officers to that, okay, if this is a different type of letter, now where's the information written on it? Now, regardless of how the communication was created or is formatted, your correctional officers always have a standard universal format, so they know exactly where to look for what type of information. So that's how it's very consistent, universal that way.
I would put my money on Riley as the author. He's a communications expert, so
Yes.
he's sophisticated.
Right. So children can use finger painting, or you can stylus or whatever they want to use, or computer mouse, they can pick that. Secondly, the posters. So these are the example posters. You specifically will receive both posters. They can receive 10, 15, 20, depending on how many places in the facility you want to display those. One is in English, one is in Spanish. These posters go side by side. It also has a starting date. So these are the educational materials for the inmates to sort of like refer to understand for all the new inmates that are coming through that how the new mailing policy will work. Then we have this single sheet printout. These are the inmate handouts, again in English and Spanish. So this is given to every single inmate. So like a handbook, in this piece of the handbook is to educate them on how the new mail policy will work. Lastly, we have a brochure, a trifold brochure in the envelope. This stays in the family visiting rooms where they can come and take one for themselves and see, okay, what is the new mailing policy to send anything to this prison, the non-privileged mail. So the costing, PO box, address, all which download the mobile application services and all of that is all available here. Okay, so posters, and we give the brochures, and then we also provide a mail rejection stamp. So new inmates come to the facility, and some new family and friends may not know the new policy. They may not be aware of it. Sometimes they don't go to the website and study what the new mailing policy is, so they still might send a physical mail to the facility. In that particular case, you will have that stamp and stamp it and reject and send it back. That stamp itself educates the sender where to send the mail for the facility. The main reason of rejecting that mail and not opening is to not expose yourself to any potential contraband in the mail. That's the key factor here to eliminate the possibility of your officers being at risk. So every non-privileged mail has to go through Textbehind, get clean, and so you always receive a clean, fully organized mail at your facility. Then there's one beautiful thing that we do is we have a community of correctional officers. So all the current contracts and all the correctional officers, there are 70, 75 correctional officers are using this system right now. So we have open door policy that they can suggest any new feature or adjustment to the CAM software as they are doing their job here. So once we receive the feedback, we turn that into a new software capability, a new function. And then that function becomes available for all the correctional officers, which means that you can take advantage of the knowledge base and intel from other correctional officers to basically enhance our software. So we get the real feedback to enhance our software, and everybody benefits from it. Again, there's no cost to you for that particular software upgrades for life. Lastly is the technical support. We make sure that regardless whether you're a customer or a user or a correctional officer, we respond to every single inquiry within 24 hours. And about 92-93% of our inquiries are responded to within the first hour. There's a very fast way of responding to the system. So this is the service model. So in the next page, you'll see service model 2. Everything remains the same, except that we can also deliver messages to the tablets and the kiosk. If you have a third-party vendor installed at your facility, we can give them our API access, and inmates can interact with our system through the API. That's all automatic. And the third business model, service model is the managed. Let's say you don't want to deal with the printer and print mail yourself. You just want to simply receive clean, distribution-ready mail at your facility every single day. So be it. So we print everything at our facility in Maryland and daily ground shipping to your facility. So you receive every day a sealed package with clean mail. Okay, so at this point here, there is a so the next page explains services and the pricing for the family and friends. So our primary cost who pays to Textbehind is basically friends and family when they create electronic messages. So there is no cost to them if they want to send handwritten letters to Textbehind to be sent to the inmate. So there's no cost for that to them. They only pay when they create electronic messages for us for convenience. So we basically sell convenience to them. So customers can create electronic messages and they get instant notification text message. Hey, your message was posted. You can use any type of credit card, debit card, and when the letter is printed or delivered, they also get notifications as to the status of their letter. So they're very connected, integrally connected with our system. And when inmate also has a choice to create handwritten letter and either send back to the customer's or sender's home address or send to Textbehind. When we receive inmate letters for that particular customer, as you can see in certain props, there's a sender's information there too. So when we receive inmate's letters, we open them up and turn into same TDC, true digital copy, and we upload to the customer's account. They receive instant notification that, hey, Kelly, you have received a new letter from John Smith. So then she can go open the app or log into the system, and she can go through the gallery to see all the real handwriting for the inmate in very high quality. And the benefit of that is that, first of all, inmate doesn't pay us anything for that particular service. Customer doesn't pay us anything for return service, so it's free for them. If they are traveling or they're moving, because in certain demographic here, there's a lot of moving and traveling that happens, or they're moving from place to place. As long as they have the device, they can use any computer, log information, and access inmate's letter dynamically on the go. So it's basically letters are with them at all times. So that's just the benefit of it. So customers can create text letters with up to 4 photographs, greeting cards, doodles for kids, and physical mail, screen and clean. So the cost for that, you can see there says TBD, to be determined. So the cost for the screen and clean service is paid by the facility in certain cases, and we'll discuss those cases in a few minutes. The special savings, so even though the cost per credit is 99 cents, but customers actually end up paying anywhere between 50 to 70 cents per transaction. So for 4 photographs and overnight shipping, sometimes instant delivery, you're solving basically just under $1. So they can get discounts. So physical mail, screen and clean service may be subject to a nominal fee based on the correctional facility size and service model preferences. And we'll discuss them in a moment at the end. So on the right-hand side is the interface where children can draw online. So now this is more specific drawing you can see. Next page, screen number 7, is defines some of the key functions of the CAD portal that your officers will have access to. So your facility can give us the user,
Thank you.
the email addresses, names, and phone numbers of the correctional officers that you'd like to have access to the system. So we'll create an account, they receive invitation email, they come, set up the password, they're good to go. And then they will have on the dashboard all the daily messages that they have to go through or review. So one thing to remember here, that every single letter is subject to the approval for your correctional officers. If the message is created, it becomes available at your CAN portal instantly, but it's not delivered to the inmate before you approve or disapprove it. Right? So everything is subject. So as you do physical review of your mail, the same thing happens electronically too. So we have maintained that legality of the process here. We can also set up an auto timer that if you're unable to review the mail on the same day, after 24 hours, the mail will still get to your facility, which you can then review physically if you want to. We can set up a timer for the auto approval timer as well. So one extra feature on this listed on this screen here is watch list. So if you are investigating any inmate for any suspicious or potentially suspicious activity, you can anonymously add that inmate to a watch list. Messages will still go through normal, but you will know when something will come or go through that inmate to our system. So you will be able to capture or monitor that communication in a more particular or focused manner. So you can do that. You can also remove them from watch list automatically by a single click. So there are some additional features that are being built in the system as we speak. So within actually a week from now, there will be 3 or 4 additional features that will be available in this technology. So we are enhancing this technology even further. Even though this is working wonderfully, amazingly for the correctional officers, but we're enhancing it even further. At the last page of the summary, this basically is just a description of some of the key benefits that we see with this technology. So for the public, for when we go and speak to correctional officers at the facilities to present this technology, they have 2 or 3 major concerns about making any change to the labor policy. First is grievances. Like sometimes inmates are not happy about any kind of change, right? But here's the good thing. For York County, we were able to reduce the grievances down to 4% within the first 3 months. Right? For Center County, grievances are down to 0%. In the last 6-7 months, not a single grievance regarding the mail. Okay. Berks County, no grievance whatsoever. Somerset County, no grievance whatsoever. Why? How are we able to achieve this, even though there's a major policy change happening? When a correctional facility decides to use Textbehind, we give a 30-day educational and transition period. In that time, we provide you with all the marketing materials, which is a brochure, the language for the website, language for the newspaper, language on our website, brochures, all the contents that your end users need to understand what the new policy is coming to. Same mail policy is still in effect, but when the switch over date comes, customers have begun to use Textbehind in a more frequent manner, which means that when the transition date comes over, there is no transition. People have already flocked over to Textbehind anyway. Even though the state of Pennsylvania, from the DOC level, has a third-party vendor in Florida. Right? People still, by the hundreds, use our service on a daily basis because they simply like our technology. Why? Because we have, from the very day, the first day of our technology, we market ourselves as a compassion-driven company. The way we address our customers, the way we treat them, the way we resolve their issues. You can go to our website, mobile applications, and look at hundreds of testimonials. Most of them are all about our efficiency of our process and how we treat people and how happy they are. So they break away from all of the vendors in the market and they flock over to Textbehind and they want to send a message through us because the way they feel about our brand. Thirdly, in the past 4 years, we have sent clean communications to about 2,500 prisons nationwide. And we have never received a rebuttal from a correctional facility that, hey, these letters are not good enough, or they're not following the policy. So we are, based on what we know so far, we are 100% compatible with all the legal requirements inside the persons for those communications. So correctional facility mailroom cost savings for reallocation of budget. What happens is, as Mr. Riley was saying in the beginning for your county case study, is they used to have about 10 staff members in the mailroom to handle all the mail. Now, I recently went to prison for a quarterly review. Mr. Snyder, who's the captain there, he took me to this room to show me where this mail room and equipment, everything was to scan the mail. It was a storage room. And I asked, what happened here? They said, that's thanks to you, because now we don't have mail. We don't need it. So now Ms. Wanda Kessler is the mailroom manager there, and she spends only 30 minutes a day managing the mail. Imagine there are 2,000 inmates, and the 30 minutes they come. Isn't it unbelievable? So now the only reason they have a small mailroom is only for the legal mail because of the ICE contract. A lot of legal mail come to that facility. That's the only reason they have 2 people in the mailroom. Otherwise, they don't need it. So elimination of contraband from inmate mail by 100%. Total control on the inmate mail review, mailroom approval, and expedited mail distribution. And regarding this contraband in the point number 2, if we ever receive anything, let's say a drug or something else that we can detect in our rooms, during our processing, we'll call the local authority to inform them because they have a primary jurisdiction. At the same time, you will also be informed, like the correctional officers, you will receive instant notification that, hey, we received something like that. If you want to provide any additional advice on how we should proceed, but we normally notify the local jurisdiction to basically come and take possession of that matter, of that content. Optional integration process with existing third-party digital communication vendors. This is where the kiosk and tablets come in. Convenient, consistent, and cost-effective services provided to the general public. So through testimonials, they're all 100% true, Google verified. So general public perceives as a very, we also have the highest rating of any company in this industry online. And then no special hardware is to be managed by the correctional officers inside the facility. Also, there is no infrastructure change. Free mail management software with unlimited facility users and the supporting equipment provided by Textbehind at no cost. So these are some of the primary key functions and the benefits that we see with Textbehind. And in some of the folders, you may see at the very end, there are 2 letters. These are the recommendation letters from the correctional wardens. This is from Senate County, and this is from York County, and they will reflect the service that we provide. So this is the basic summary of this technology itself. Even though we can set up the service in under 10 minutes and start sending the letters, it's possible that we are sending a lot of letters to your facility already because as a general service. But when we get contracted, all the non-privileged communications goes to Textbehind, which guarantees that you will never receive the drugs in your facility, and your inmates will not have problems. So grievances are the major concern, policy changes are a major concern, and the quality of the letters and speed and consistency and reliability are the major concerns. So we take care of that like nobody's business. So we take this work very, very seriously. So I'm open to questions. Please.
Travis, on average, what's the daily
Amount?
of mail pieces that we have per
I
month?
would put that between 50 and 75.
And how much time a day do we spend processing that?
How much time a day?
How much time just to?
About 2.5, 3 hours.
Daily. 7 days? 7 days a week, 5 days a week?
5 days a week, sir, Monday through Friday.
Chris, you said York County prison population is around 2,000. What option does York County use of the 3 here that were mentioned?
We print everything in-house and ship over to their facility every day. Now, our contract is up for renewal, and we already talked about this a little bit. The printer there, so they're going to print all of them. We have in-house, so we are going to do that. Next week, actually, I'm going to pay that to you for the contract renewal. On September 9th, I believe.
have a centralized, like, screening center?
Yes, it's in Phoenix, Maryland, north of Dawson,
Okay.
in Baltimore County.
And you mentioned a few counties, York, Center.
Yes,
Berks.
Somerset, Berks, Lehigh. We also got the entire North Carolina DOC about 2 weeks ago. And the service will be starting September 30th.
We just signed Adams.
Yeah, Adams County,
We had
Cambria.
contracts sent last week to Cumberland, Indiana. And we have about half the presentations between today and September 16th to other counties, including Lehigh.
Cumberland, sorry, Lackawanna.
So there's some more larger counties as well.
So how many people do you employ at your facility in Maryland?
That's the funny part. It's ridiculously efficient process because I wanted to preserve the privacy of the communications and least number of human beings means that fewer mistakes that will happen. So it's Charlie's Chocolate Factory. So we only in the entire office, including myself, there are only 5 people. So only 4 people in the production and myself, 3 people in the production, 1 in the management, contract management. I'm the CEO with designs and technology, implements and educates my staff. So letters are formatted, organized, printed, packaged, all automatically.
Okay.
So yeah, the reason I'm able to offer this technology brush officers and the facilities at such a low cost is because of that efficiency.
Okay. Well, I'm just wondering, as you grow and you have, potentially increase in volume, how you're
Yes.
going to be able to handle that.
Right.
And then also making sure the mail gets sorted to the right prison.
That's correct. So there are 2 points I would like to make here. In the past 8 months, for all these contracts that we have processed about 80 to 90,000 pieces of physical mail. Right? There have been only one tiny mistake, where one photograph was uploaded for a wrong customer. That was back in November 18th, 2018. Right? So 80,000, 90,000 pieces of mail, one tiny mistake that we rectified on the same day. That should tell you one thing about our quality assurance. We have 3 layers of quality assurance process, so that does, it's a very extreme, rare chance that the mistakes will ever happen. That's one thing. Secondly, on October 1st, we are moving to the new facility, which is basically just the next door. It's a 5 times larger office, and I plan to hire about 10 people over there to take over to transition with the North Carolina DOC because they have 50,000 inmates there. So we'll be taking care of that. And then we also signed a couple of contracts nationwide for about 700 additional facilities nationwide. So the growth is very significant in the next 6 to 12 months. So we are very well ready prepared for that growth.
And you mentioned about the size of the staff and hiring, but what about the scalability of your IT system?
Yeah, so we have about 32 technologists on board that support me, my inventions, and all the functions behind the scenes. So we have that, and we have scalability features, teams behind them, junior developers, if we need to enhance the team.
So as you grow, we should not see any degradation of
No, sir.
timeliness?
No. We have been vetted by Maryland DOC already for the security protocols, what our level of disaster recovery protocols and system recovery redundancy or security protocols. We far exceed the DOC requirements for security. Because I myself come from Pentagon, so I know a thing or two about how to protect the servers. Secondly, our security protocol itself, the way we have set up our servers, is patented technology. So in order to hack us, you will have to hack Amazon, GoDaddy, Komodo, and a couple of other companies simultaneously to bring us down. However, we have also done another amazing thing in the system is that no credit card information, even though every customer uses that, we don't save a single element of that card on our system. So behind the scene, there are PCI compliant security servers and then banks who are providing smart tokenization behind the scenes, which means that even you know, God forbid, something happens to Textbehind, customers have nothing to worry about. So we get into that situation. So, yeah, so we have basically gone through this in the first 3 years of painstaking process to really structure the whole thing, because I know I'm dealing with the government agencies, state agencies, county agencies. So I don't want to leave any sliver of doubt on the table when I go and present, because my reputation is on the line. And, you know, I'm trusted by, you know, Fortune 500 companies, you know, all over the world to provide the solution. So I cannot be sitting here and give you something that is not vetted properly.
I think he leave it here. Travis, do you have any comments on the presentation?
This is just something that I believe will definitely enhance our mail service, get us out of it, to be honest with you. And then all we have to worry about is our legal mail, which we have a solution for that also.
To this particular comment, I'm in the process of inventing a new technology, which is a artificial intelligence-based hardware system to actually solve the legal mail problem as well. So we have recently provided a consultation to the York County Prison to develop a new room that actually protects the inmates and the correctional officers by 100% while efficiently processing legal mail. And now we're converting that entire process to a machine, so that the machine is there and it's automatically spits out, does a video recording, all the amazing things it can do, all right there. So this solution will be available, I believe, within 6 months to the facilities.
Correct me if I'm wrong, one
Please.
question, I know we're in a time frame, but the burden of the cost for this
Yeah.
is borne by the families of inmates?
Primarily, yes. So not the inmates, only the family and friends on the outside.
All right, so
Only
somebody
when
right
it-
now who sends a first-class letter, you know, they have the cost of the stamp.
From there, and when they're handwriting, yes.
Right, okay. And the idea here is that we want to try to encourage, you know, essentially folks to use electronic
Yes.
communications,
Right.
but there's a fee involved, correct?
Yes, so we encourage them, so see, there is a, so the purpose of this marketing is first of all to reduce the grievances and to reduce confusion for the inmates. Secondly, to promote the electronic use of technology for texting, which will make the communication faster, more volume, much easier, and also we can then apply different security filters on those technologies. Okay. In that particular case, the screen and clean cost does not go to the facility, it goes to the family and friends on the outside. And they're paying 99 cents or 70 cents or 60 cents or whatever the cost that is. It's only when they create electronic message to our service. When they handwrite the letter and send the mail to us, of course they're sending the mail because nobody's sending letter to us physically, right? So, like not hand delivering to our office, like sending the mail. So they will pay the stamp, but after that, we process and send to the facility internally. They don't pay anything else to us. Now, the screen and clean service, the only reason we charge the correction facility in certain scenarios where you have the tablets and kiosks and they have their own messaging system, competitive service available. If that is the case, only then we charge for the physical mail screen and clean. Now, how are you going to pay the cost and where the money will come from? With all the other benefits that we provide to the facility, reduced staff, increased security, grievances are, so lawyers are required to sort of go through all these grievances. So if you have like 700 inmates in the facility, you can
We have
720.
we have about 400.
Right, so we should be able, like, I'm just simply estimating here, don't hold me for that thing. Maybe like $250, maybe $300,000 a year, you'll be saving no overall costs. And how much you're paying Textbehind in the worst case scenario, maybe $1,500, $1,600 a month. And the worst case scenario, that's it. So, which is what? Nothing. I mean, it basically just covers the basic cost of the printer, because if you look at those production cost printers, I mean, you get the lease, 3 year lease on them, you know, it's like $1,000, $2,000, just the basic cost of the printer itself. So,
I certainly like the idea that, you know, providing safety for our corrections officers and those that have the touch to deal with the mail. I think there's a lot of benefits to this. I think it's worthy of a further, you know, consideration.
I agree.
for this particular point, I was speaking with Mr. Glenn Thurston about 3 or 4 days ago for our monthly review with him, because I really like this person very much so we basically talk every now and then just to have like an opinion about the service on correction officers. They have about 19 correction officers using this technology right now on daily basis. Okay. He said that his major concern when switching or having a mail management service was the safety of his people. If you know Glenn Irwin correctly, he is very, very sensitive to the safety of his staff. He said that every now and then my officers come to me and they say, man, thank you for doing this. Because now they said there is no fear in their hearts when they dealing with mail because everything is like just to that particular point that you just made. So safety is absolutely paramount here.
Gary, are you okay with proceeding to the next step? Okay. All right, Paul?
Any other questions?
Guys, really appreciate you coming out here. Of course, we have another issue to get to. We have to be out the door at 10:30. But thank you, this is very good. Yes,
So whenever your teams are ready,
Yes.
I can be emailed with a request to send the standard agreement that has been signed with all of them for your review, and then probably take it from there. Or if there's any amendments or something like that, we can do.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Chris, thank you.
Everybody, thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Very interesting.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
I promise I won't make you late, and I was really excited to present what I found, but now I feel like I should have paid more attention to college. I think I have something else.
Yeah, that was amazing. What they went through.
He's a smart guy, it sounds like.
Okay, next on our agenda is the weapons armory. With us, we have Sheriff Anderson, Jody, Ryan, so please proceed.
If they have it, they'll just like, I have here, but thank you, Arthur. So I'm gonna try to be brief, because we have touched on a lot of this, and really, I've taken what you guys have already seen when I wasn't here, and added what has materialized in the last couple of weeks, which I'm pretty excited to share with you. So I kept the slide presentation very similar to what you saw, so as not to muddy the waters much. The first slides are still procedural stuff, they're still forecasted numbers. Again, they're forecasted, we can't predict the future, but it's based off of past results. Discusses the law, the changes a little bit, and what's just the tedious nature that we now experience with processing the gun. So we go through the different options, and we kept them the same, but I added a fourth, and I can give you as much backstory as you want as how I realized that option, but I'll go through each one real quick, and we'll get to the fourth. I'll get a little detail to you, and you guys can ask whatever you want. I know there's lots of questions flying around, and I want to make sure I get them all answered so everybody's crystal clear on it. The first option was the option that was the most desirable a long time ago when the sheriff, John, and I were posing what to do about space requirements. This was before space allocation moves were taking place. We had just acquired 1615, and in brainstorming, that space lent itself to what we wanted to do, and it lent itself in a couple different ways. Number one, wasn't used, and number two, the vertical, we can go up. So the footprint we're taking is essentially triple, which is why you see the ability to store 1,800 guns, which is an estimate. That's because I can go up, and it provided a little future-proofing, a lot of future-proofing actually, moving forward. It wasn't cheap. Even in-house, it's the preparation of it is not cheap. And to be quite honest with you, this is a two-pronged approach. One is the storage, but the other is very important to me because I do record keeping and evidence management manually. Now there are computer records, but there's simple Excel spreadsheets, and it's incredibly tedious. So Telesoft offered this package, which they saw the writing on the wall, the law changes, and developed this. And when we got the quote, just like you guys, I was a bit frustrated with how expensive it is. while on my end, a necessary evil, the price is kind of hateful, for lack of a better term. So I share that frustration with you. The second option was essentially the same thing, just with a different space. That was the Allen Road caged-in option. It's a little cheaper, and the concerns were that with it wasn't plan A for me. It was, I'd take it if it was offered, but the challenge with it is I fear that I'd be here in a year or two asking for more space. I don't think it has the future proofing that I need, or that we'd like to build into this. The third option that was brought up was off-site storage, and while it's a good outside-the-box thinking, it's riddled with challenges that I don't think are wise in terms of storing other people's property and being responsible for them. We can get into that a little bit more, but I really want to spend the bulk of the time on the fourth option that I've come up. So the fourth option was an epiphany to me after brainstorming a little bit. I knew you guys and myself personally had an issue with how expensive the software was. So my initial thought process was, if I can get the construction costs down or minimize significantly, perhaps that's a better pill to swallow. So I started thinking, and one thing led to another, and I thought, you know what, we finally have the library system relocated, and we're starting the space allocation plans that John's worked so hard on. The lab is going to be freed up at some point in the near future, and it's a perfect space because the infrastructure, all the infrastructure is already there. I would need to do nothing with it except build storage racks at a minimal cost. The security's there, the construction's there. It's relatively close by, so it's economic with time. I mean, I have to physically be there, but it's a half a block walk when I need to go down there and do what I need to do. It wasn't readily apparent to me when we started this because nobody knew who was going where at that point. It just wasn't in my head. So I immediately contacted John and sent him an email because he was on vacation, and not to speak for him, but he was very intrigued by the option. And I went down to refresh myself. I've been down there quite a bit, but I went down there to refresh myself with the space. It is future-proof. There's plenty of space to expand down there. And in the course of my nosing around down there, here's where the second problem comes in, and the second piece I'm super excited about. I was talking to Eric Radnovich, who currently occupies the space in that location, and he said to me, I told him what I was doing and the challenges I was facing, and he said to me, have you ever heard of PD evidence? I said, no, I have no idea what it is, because it's just not my thing. Well, it turns out PD evidence is a very prevalent evidence management system that's been developed locally by Detective Ryan Parkmore. Almost all the LEO agencies here in the county use it. Our own CID uses it, the lab uses it, and I contacted Ryan immediately, and he gave me a test version of it and gave me the username and all that stuff. And I spent the next couple hours playing around in it, trying to figure out if it's going to work for us. And it's amazing. It absolutely is amazing. It does everything County Suite does and more. And we'll get to the numbers at virtually no cost. There is cost there, but compared to the ridiculousness of $40,000, it's much easier pill to swallow. So, if you go, I know I'm skipping around, but I want to be sensitive to your time. If you go to the last page I created, very simple cost comparison to see how things have morphed. The 16, 15, and the Allen Road numbers were ones that were already in there that you've already been privy to, but if you can see the drastic change as you progress to the lab, the net savings that would occur if that option's selected and we end up using PD evidence, which is what I'm asking. There are limited number of negatives to this option, and I'm almost, not regretful, regretful is not a good word. I'm kind of remorseful that it didn't pop into my head earlier and we could have saved all of ourselves a lot of time. But again, the location wasn't on the radar to be vacated back when we started this, so this is where we're at. Any questions popping into your heads?
Well, I'm appreciative of the fact that you continue to think about this. I know that you do that we were balking at, you know, the cost.
I was too.
Especially after the fact that, you know, the House Committee on Appropriations did a fiscal note, said, and I'm going to enter this into the record, that this should cost zero, okay? And, but I think that, you know, you've come up with it appears to be a cost-efficient solution.
Thank you very much.
The thing we have to be concerned about every time a law is passed, and believe me, I believe all of us are in favor of the legislation that will take guns out of the hands of abusers, okay? That's not the issue. But every time a piece of legislation is passed in Harrisburg, there's always a private sector business out there, you know, looking for ways to make money. And so it's something that, you know, I think that every time these issues relative to cost burden come up, you know, I think we need to look hard, you know, at alternatives and solutions. And it looks, Brian, like you've come up with a pretty good one, and I commend you for that.
And Commissioner, I took it on myself to take on the other options, to take out county suite and put PDF in there as a figure, just to see what the comparison would be. The only one that came out cheaper was the archives building, the cage up there came out $40 cheaper in the final price. And the problem with that would have been the size of it, as far as the size that down here at the lab's a lot larger than what the size is at the archives building.
Thanks for your kind words, Commissioner.
I think this is the right alternative, the best solution. I mean, I think you know, sometimes when the legislature does things, you know, they don't consider all the consequences, and I don't know that they really. I mean, I got a kick out of this sentence or this section of their analysis where it said that House Bill 2060 allows the custodian of the surrendered firearms to dispose or sell abandoned firearms, other weapons or ammunition, with the proceeds of the sale to be retained by the custodian. Therefore, profits from the sale or the destruction of abandoned surrendered firearm inventory will reduce the need for increased storage for law enforcement and minimize any potential costs to Commonwealth or its local governments. Okay? And I think, Ronnie, you and I had a little conversation about, is there anything to that? You know?
Well, I mean, they didn't take into consideration a PFA, the length of a PFA.
Yeah, I can't sell somebody's guns that they'd be entitled to get back in 3 years or whatever you turn to PFA.
Right, so that's, they didn't take that into consideration, I believe, whenever they looked at that, the length of time that these PFAs are enacted. And we can't do anything with the weapons while the PFAs in.
Yeah.
And briefly, it's important to me to thank the sheriff and the chief, of course. Sandy was a big help, John Locke was a big help, and Eric was a big help. This was a collaborative effort, even though I'm the one sitting here asking to move forward.
Well, don't beat yourself up for not thinking about it sooner.
Well,
At least,
I don't like wasting time and doing things twice. I feel like that's what I did.
But, anybody wants to beat you up, let Ronnie and Jody think of that. As far as PFAs, what percentage actually have a gun involved? Did you guys pick up that data? Not, it's not urgent, but you're reporting that.
We always ask,
Yeah.
in everyone. I'd be guessing it's 30–40% maybe we get guns from people.
So when you serve a PFA, you have to ask if they have firearms.
We do. But it's to the extent, sir, I'm going through my spiel, you can possess any firearms.
Right.
No, I don't.
Right.
Here, sign this affidavit. That's as far as I can go,
Yeah.
unless I see him in plain view.
Is the victim question regarding that question?
In the intake process, when the PFA is created, yes, they are. Yep. And we get that information. Not always true, though. Or the defendant's not being truthful. We go both ways.
Staff have any questions or comments?
I just have
Yes, Mr. Ron.
In 2018, 2019, I was corresponding with AP, adult probation, and IMTO on the second phase portion of the space allocation, which involved the OBO. And that's one of the reasons probably why it didn't resonate as far as a possible place to store weapons. There may be a change in that process, and there's a paragraph at the end of the letter that was sent out by the Commissioner's office that there's a disclaimer that this could change for any reason at any time. And I think we have talked to Sandy about it, about an idea of how we can make that next move work. But that's something we'll discuss at a future time. But that building is a bomb shelter also, and you got the 2 foot thick walls, so it is a perfect location for something like it. It is local, it's right down the street, and I think we could tie that into the space allocation plan that we have after we move the forensic to the Gulf, to the river area.
Okay, does the board want to take action on proceeding with option 4?
Yeah, well, supporter, I'll make a motion to authorize staff to proceed with the implementation of option 4's outlined.
Do you have a second to the motion?
Here's my question. We have all the information we need to proceed. These are hard numbers, we have POs in place, or whatever we need, the capital forms, any of the,
I don't know that we have an updated capital form, but we can get that and get it from
I don't necessarily need to see the paperwork, I just want assurance that these numbers are whole. I don't want to
We'll
make
make
an
sure.
open-ended approval, so.
We would still have to vote on that commissioners meeting once the capital request is approved for your area, correct? Dana?
I would have taken this as the approval, but we can do it at a workshop.
Yeah, that was my question, is
Well,
if this is the final approval, I'd like a little more
If it-
firmness to the
Okay.
numbers, so.
Well, if it helps, Gary, I could, agree to amend my motion,
Let's
to
do that.
authorize the staff to pursue implementation of option number 4 at a total cost to the county of $10,500.
And that leaves no flexibility at all. Are we okay with that, or?
The only thing that was a generalized estimate because of time was the outfit, the retrofitting of it. And I got that from Brent, and we just,
Okay.
Dana?
David, does that present any difficulties if we would have to modify that number?
Yeah, well, 10,500 would keep it off of the, if that's the total cost, because I didn't see the
Yeah,
updated
this-
cost. If that's the total, it doesn't even require going on a commissioner's workshop, because the number's 15,000.
Okay.
So, it's okay, and then we, if there was any modification, we would have to bring it back around.
That's fine.
So the modification of the motion is not required. So we'll stick with the original motion. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Are there any further questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
thank you very much. This is very important to me, so I appreciate your patience.
Thanks for working through it.
Yeah, I appreciate it.